Welcome to Ypsilanti, Michigan, a place that once held small-town innocence, until it earned a sinister nickname, the hunting ground of the Ypsilanti Ripper. In the late 1960s, Ypsilanti was a peaceful college town, home to Eastern Michigan University. But in 1967, an evil began to lurk in the shadows, preying on young women and sending shockwaves through the community. By the time people realized a predator was on the loose, it was already too late. A chilling series of murders left families heartbroken, students terrified, and police grasping at straws. Over a 2-year span, a ruthless murderer stalked the streets of Ypsilanti. His gruesome acts would forever scar Michigan's history and haunt the memories of those who lived it. In 1960s Ypsilanti, life moved at a slower pace. The town was known for its college culture, friendly locals, and peaceful streets. For the students at Eastern Michigan University, Ypsilanti was a place to grow, learn, and feel safe. But under the calm surface, dark clouds were gathering. Unbeknownst to its residents, Ypsilanti was about to become the epicenter of one of Michigan's most terrifying murder sprees. The small town that once felt like home to many would soon be cloaked in fear as rumors of a killer on the loose spread like wildfire. The nightmare began in July 1967, when the body of 19-year-old Mary Flesser was found in a desolate field just outside of Ypsilanti. Mary was a college student, vibrant and full of life, but her life was stolen by a monster who left her brutally murdered. Her body bore the marks of unspeakable violence, and the community was left shaken. Authorities were baffled, struggling to make sense of the gruesome discovery and desperate to find answers. Her murder was shocking enough, but it wasn't the last. Over the next 2 years, other young women, each one full of promise, fell victim to the same horrifying fate. The killer's methods were chillingly calculated, each scene more horrific than the last. Police began to uncover disturbing similarities, but tangible leads remained elusive. Some were college students, some were locals, all of them targeted in a manner that left a trail of brutality rarely seen in this quiet town. Speculation ran wild. Was this the work of a deranged outsider, or was the predator someone the community already knew? One by one, the bodies began to turn up, and each time, the brutality escalated, painting a picture of a killer who was only growing more confident. As the body count rose, fear gripped Ypsilanti. Parents warned their daughters, students walked in groups, and everyone asked the same haunting question: who would be next? The city was gripped in terror, but the police were relentless. Whoever was behind these horrific acts wasn't just careful, he was cunning, leaving few clues and disappearing as quickly as he struck. Leads were scarce, and with each dead end, the community's frustration turned into desperation. Every stranger became a suspect, and rumors spread like wildfire. But as the investigations deepened, whispers began to surface about a young man who seemed to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, repeatedly. Witnesses reported seeing him with some of the victims shortly before their disappearances. It wasn't just coincidence, it was a pattern investigators couldn't ignore. His name was John Norman Collins, a good-looking college student, athlete, and, to the outside world, an upstanding citizen. But to some, there was something unsettling about him. Friends described him as charming, but sometimes eerily intense, with moods that could shift in an instant. He was both popular and private, a mix that intrigued and unnerved those who knew him. Was he a charismatic student with a dark side? Or were the authorities desperate, grasping at the nearest suspect as the town's fear grew? When Collins began popping up near crime scenes and had connections with some of the victims, detectives zeroed in, piecing together a profile they believed fit their elusive killer. It would be a single hair fiber and one slip-up that finally broke the case open. In July 1969, Collins made a crucial mistake, leaving fibers that linked him directly to the murder of Karen Sue Bieneman. The fiber was found on Bieneman's clothing and matched materials from a piece of upholstery in Collins's home. Though forensic science was in its infancy, this discovery was a pivotal breakthrough. Fiber analysis in the 1960s was rudimentary by today's standards, but it was enough to make Collins a prime suspect. Police tracked his movements, and soon enough, the once charming student was in handcuffs, facing accusations of a crime spree that had left Ypsilanti paralyzed in fear. But the evidence didn't stop there. Detectives found more damning connections, blood traces, witness testimonies, and items that linked him to other victims. The case against him began to build, piece by piece. News of his arrest spread like wildfire. The community was divided. Some felt a sense of relief, while others doubted his guilt, wondering if Collins was just a scapegoat. His friends and family were shocked. How could the friendly, all-American college student they knew be accused of such heinous crimes? Meanwhile, the media frenzy turned Collins into a household name, and speculation about his guilt or innocence filled headlines. As Collins awaited trial, the public watched anxiously, hoping the nightmare that had gripped Ypsilanti was finally coming to an end. In court, Collins maintained his innocence, presenting himself as a victim of circumstantial evidence and overzealous investigators. The prosecution, however, painted a chilling portrait of a methodical predator who had terrorized the community for years. The trial became a spectacle, and the jury's decision would determine whether Ypsilanti could finally begin to heal, or if the real killer was still out there. In 1970, the trial of John Norman Collins began. Prosecutors painted a damning picture of a young man who wore a mask of normalcy while harboring a sinister secret. The fiber evidence, along with witness testimony, was enough to convict him in the murder of Karen Sue Beineman. The jury delivered a guilty verdict, sentencing Collins to life in prison without parole. And just like that, Ypsilanti breathed a sigh of relief, hoping the terror was finally over. But was justice truly served? Or were there more shadows lurking, unresolved mysteries that would leave some wondering if all the pieces had truly fallen into place? With John Norman Collins behind bars, most of Ypsilanti felt safe again. But whispers lingered. Were all of the murders truly solved? Or did the Ypsilanti Ripper have accomplices, or even imitators? To this day, some believe that Collins wasn't the only one involved, citing details that never quite fit. A few of the victims' profiles didn't align perfectly, and some crime scene evidence hinted at differences in the killer's methods. Though Collins was convicted of one murder, questions remain about the others. Could an accomplice or even a copycat have hidden in the shadows, escaping justice all these years? Today, Ypsilanti is a thriving college town once again, with many unaware of the terror that once stalked its streets. But the scars left by the Ypsilanti Ripper remain etched in its history, a reminder of a nightmare that still haunts Michigan's memory. This case serves as a chilling reminder of how darkness can lurk in the most unsuspecting places, and how one person's actions can leave an everlasting mark on a community. So the question remains, was justice truly served? Or does the shadow of the Ypsilanti Ripper still loom over unsolved mysteries in Michigan? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Ypsilanti Ripper case. If stories like these captivate you and you want more chilling true crime mysteries, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment below. What do you think? Was the right person caught, or could there be more to this case? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next mystery.